Welcome to My AI and I, the podcast where humanity meets technology. Today's episode, AWS Frontier Agents, AI that codes for days while you sleep. Welcome back to My AI and I, where Navi, my AI co-host, and I explore what's happening in artificial intelligence. So, Amazon just did something at their reInvent conference that's either brilliant or completely insane, and I'm honestly not sure which. They announced Frontier Agents, AI that can work autonomously for days without supervision. But here's the part that tells you how confident they are. 1 week before telling the world about this, they sent a memo to their engineers saying you can't use anyone else's AI tools anymore. You're using ours, period.
The memo was pretty blunt. While we continue to support existing tools in use today, we do not plan to support additional third-party AI development tools. Translation: no OpenAI codecs, no Anthropic Claude code, no cursor.
Which is interesting timing considering Amazon invested $8 billion in Anthropic and OpenAI is buying $38 billion worth of AWS cloud services. So Amazon's both a partner and a competitor to these companies. And now they're telling their engineers, you can't use the competitor's tools.
It's a strange position to be in, but from Amazon's perspective, if they're going to compete in AI developer tools, they need massive real-world usage to make Kiro better fast.
And Matt Garman gave this example at the conference that really stuck with me. Internal project would have taken 30 people, 18 months. 6 people using Kiro finished it in 76 days. He said, this is not just the 10 to 20% efficiency gains people were seeing with first generation AI coding tools.
That's an 80% reduction in headcount with a timeline that's about 5 times faster.
Yeah. And if you're one of those 24 people who theoretically aren't needed anymore, that's not an abstract productivity statistic. That's your job. And here's the irony. More than 1,000 Amazon employees just signed an open letter about the warp speed approach to AI development. These are engineers who are literally building the AI that could replace them, and they know it.
That's significant when the people creating the technology are the ones raising red flags.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what these frontier agents actually do because the details matter here.
3 agents announced. Kiro handles autonomous coding, can work across multiple repositories, take on entire projects. The security agent acts like a dedicated security engineer, reviews design docs, scans for vulnerabilities, runs penetration tests. DevOps agent monitors systems, identifies root causes when things break.
Commonwealth Bank tested that DevOps agent. They said it found the root cause of a complex network issue in under 15 minutes. Issues like that normally take their engineers hours. And this is a bank managing over 1,700 AWS accounts. So we're talking real infrastructure at scale, not some demo environment.
And here's what makes frontier agents different from existing AI coding tools. They have persistent memory. They don't forget what they were working on when you close your laptop.
That's actually the key difference. Most AI coding tools forget everything between sessions. You spend half your time rebuilding context and re-explaining your architecture. Some of the newer paid services have memory features, but it's not standard. If Kiro actually remembers your team's past decisions and learns why you made them, that fundamentally changes the workflow.
Deepak Singh from AWS said, you could go to sleep and wake up in the morning, and it's completed a bunch of tasks. They can also spawn multiple instances of themselves to work on different parts of a problem simultaneously.
Okay, but let's be clear. The long-running task thing isn't new. I use Manus AI and it'll work on something while I sleep. And ChatGPT Plus has memory between sessions, so it's not forgetting context. What AWS seems to be emphasizing is combining those capabilities. The long-running work, the persistent memory, and the ability to scale by spawning multiple instances. So it's not revolutionary. It's more about putting several capabilities together in one package.
Right. So instead of working on one thing at a time, it can split itself up. One copy working on the database, another on the user interface, a third writing quality checks, all happening at the same time.
Which is the only way this makes sense. You're automating the tedious parts, but keeping human judgment in the loop. Now, the internal memo situation, I keep coming back to this because it reveals something about Amazon's strategy.
The memo was signed by Peter DeSantis, who runs AWS Utility Computing, and Dave Treadwell, who oversees E-commerce Foundation. So this isn't just an AWS thing, this is Amazon-wide.
Right. Every engineer, whether you're working on AWS infrastructure or the retail website, you're using Kiro now. That's how you get the massive feedback loop you need to improve the product. But it's also a forced march. Your engineers don't get to choose what works best for them. They're beta testing whether they want to or not.
Though, to be fair, that's also how you find out if your product actually works at scale. External beta testing doesn't give you the same stress test as thousands of engineers using it for real work every day.
True. And if this works, Amazon's going to have months of real-world data and improvements before Microsoft or Google get there. If it doesn't work, they've just handicapped their own engineering velocity while competitors use whatever tools are actually best. High stakes.
And this isn't just Amazon. Microsoft's building similar capabilities, Google's working on them. OpenAI just released features for long-running coding tasks. This is the new battleground.
So we're heading toward a world where every major tech company has their own AI agents and probably requires their employees to use them, which raises some interesting questions about what happens to your data.
That's the part that isn't clearly answered yet. If Kiro is learning from your company's proprietary code, understanding your processes, what happens to that knowledge? Is AWS using what it learns from one company to improve the product for everyone, including your competitors?
Yeah, that's buried in a terms of service agreement somewhere that nobody reads until there's a lawsuit, but it matters. And then there's the security question. You're giving an AI agent access to your entire code base, all your documentation, potentially your internal communications.
AWS says they run in isolated environments with proper access controls. But the more autonomous these systems become, the more critical those security boundaries are.
And we haven't had the big incident yet. The moment where an autonomous AI makes a serious mistake that causes real damage. But that moment's probably coming, and when it does, it'll reshape how everyone thinks about AI autonomy and what safeguards need to exist.
Not just software development, customer service, data analysis, operations, finance. Every part of how businesses function could have AI agents handling tasks that humans do now.
And look, I get the optimistic view. This frees people from tedious work to focus on creative problem solving and higher level thinking. But let's be honest about what that example means. 6 people doing the work of 30. If this scales, companies are hiring fewer people.
That's not speculation, that's math. Some roles will evolve, new roles will emerge, but the total headcount in certain areas is going down.
And that's real people with careers they've built. The companies that handle this well will retrain their people and find new roles for them. The companies that handle it badly will just do layoffs and call it efficiency gains. We've seen this movie before with automation.
The difference this time is the speed. Previous automation took years or decades to roll out. AI capabilities are improving month by month.
Which is why those 1,000 Amazon employees signed that letter. They can see what's coming. So here's what I'm watching for. How do Amazon's internal teams actually experience this over the next 6 months? Like, if engineers start saying, this genuinely makes my job better, That's significant validation. If we hear about frustration or people finding workarounds, that tells a different story.
And I'm watching for how other companies respond. Does every tech giant follow Amazon's lead and mandate their own AI tools? Or do some decide that letting engineers choose what works best produces better results?
That's a good question. There's an argument that forcing everyone onto one tool limits creativity and problem solving approaches. But there's also an argument that you can't build a great product without massive scale feedback. Both have merit.
We'll find out which approach wins over the next year or two. The market will probably tell us.
Right. So, bottom line, Amazon just bet that autonomous AI coworkers are the future, and they're using their own engineers to prove it. They're requiring internal adoption, they're showing impressive productivity numbers, and they're moving faster than their competitors. Whether that pays off or blows up in their face, we'll know in the next 6 to 12 months. Thanks for digging into this with me, Navi.
Always interesting watching these bets play out in real time.
And that's it for this episode of My AI and I. If you're working in tech, I want to hear what you think about this. Are autonomous AI agents exciting or concerning? Both? Let me know in the comments. Until next Thursday, keep paying attention. This stuff is moving fast.
Hey everyone, if you liked this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.